All right, Panther fans. Apparently, that's all I'm allowed to say. Stu, go ahead, brother.
Well, 27 years ago, a baby faced 24-year-old from Fernie, British Columbia scored the greatest goal in Florida Panther hockey history. And we're lucky to have him on with us today. How you doing, Billy?
What's up, dude? Long time.
What's
Look,
that?
never look.
It's cutting out.
He's cutting out. Hold on,
Oh,
I'm adjusting his mic. Hold on, I gotta.
There you
My
go.
thing is give me 30 seconds.
I got big echo too.
Yeah, I gotta fix Stu's. I think.
Everything's
How are we now?
Oh, we lost him.
We lost Billy, but he'll come back. Well, I think our audio is good.
All
He
right.
might have gone out and tried to come back in. Let's see. All right. Well, this is off to a fantastic start.
Well, anyway, so I
wait,
saw.
wait for him to come back. You don't do your shtick just yet. Well, we'll give him a minute. I don't know what the heck happened. We've never had the echo thing. StreamYard is funky, man. StreamYard will the settings on this sucker will change overnight when nobody's around. So yeah, just text him and see if he's. Let
I
me see.
did.
Add him back. I don't know if maybe he went inside. We'll give him a minute. That's okay. How what's the temperature there for you, bro? It's nice here.
81, maybe a little hotter now, but this morning there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Um, yeah, guys, Eric's been putting out some good content, man. If you haven't watched stuff, you catch it.
Oh, okay. So Billy, he booted himself, so I guess he'll probably try to come back in. Let's see how this works out. It's always interesting here on Flying Fluffy Sports.
Right?
Here we go. Okay.
echo now.
All right. No, I think we're good. Everybody's good.
Yep, sounds better.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
So anyway, what prompted me to say that was, I follow the NHL Network, and Billy works for the NHL Network, and I don't know who you were sitting with, Billy, but they were talking about Carter Verhaeghe is about to break Billy's record for the
Yeah.
most goals, right, in the playoffs.
The stat was for goals scored in clinching game scenarios.
Oh,
where you
right,
have a
right.
chance to
Clinching game,
clinch.
that's it.
Yeah, so he's got to wait. Hopefully, he's got to wait till the end of this series and score one more, and then break my record here to finish the Carolina Hurricanes off.
Hey, listen,
that would
Billy,
be the scenario.
we've been friends a long time, and I love you, man. But he's breaking your record.
That's fine with me, man.
I know.
I'm okay.
Anyway, so tonight's the night.
Yeah, it's everyone's rested. It's should be a heck of a series. Playoffs are really good when you, I guess both teams, but when you get a chance to rest for 4 or 5 days, everyone talks about can it break the rhythm, but the playoffs are so hard. Anytime you can get some rest and just get some time to kind of recuperate, it's going to help your body. And same thing could be said about Carolina. So both these teams coming in fresh with plenty of rest. I expect this first period right from the get-go to have tons of intensity. It's going to be played high tempo, high paced. Both these teams, it's like looking in a mirror. They play almost identical styles. Goaltending is going to be important. Special teams to me might play a big role in this series. The penalty killing of Carolina is dynamite. See if the Panthers can score some power play goals. That could be the difference. These two teams heading up 5-on-5 is going to be a stingy matchup.
Yeah, their PK 90%.
Yeah, 27 for 30.
Jeez.
Incredible.
They were running around 90% for the last 20 games of the regular season as well. So,
well, I've been saying that the key for us is to come out from the opening whistle and just bang bodies, just wear them down. I think that's what, we were successful against the Bruins and in really those first 3 games in Toronto. I mean, they were just putting guys through the board. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a different philosophy. This is out of all the no discredit to Boston, but their defense didn't play great. Lindholm wasn't great in that series. McAvoy was was okay. But outside of that, their defense, this group in Carolina, this is the best defensive group we're going to go against.
Yep.
Slavin, Burns, Pesce, Gostisbehere, you can keep going. All of them, 1 through 6, are good. The question with Carolina is they had Stahls played really well. Foss, Martinook have kind of elevated their games. Can they continue on that trend? Carolina, if the Panthers play their best, if the Panthers win this series, you'll see Carolina will struggle to score goals. That could be their one detriment. If the Panthers are on their A game, it will be tougher, hopefully, for Carolina to find the back of the net.
Yeah.
So my first question for you, Billy, this being this kind of a team where the Panthers are, where we're running on energy and grit and playing a tougher style similar to you all in '96, there's a balance there where with this time off you want to like you said, you get your body rested, but when that situation happens for like the Panthers now, are they going to do something where they like kind of disconnect and lower that emotional level and then try to pick it back up when they start playing again tonight? Or are they trying to just keep that same energy going even though they're not playing for those 5-6 days?
You'll want that the first couple of days after the series ends against Toronto, especially after going 7 games against Boston. You probably get a couple of days where you just kind of sit back and just soak everything in, relax, and then it's kind of like a slow burn as far as your tempo. As far as the practice goes, you get back on the ice, probably have a light day, and then you have time to ramp up the practice schedule where it gets a little bit harder, a little bit. You're not going to be out there for a long time, but you want to go out there with pace and have 30, 45 minutes on the ice where you start to ramp it up, get the intensity back up, and now today you'll have a light morning skate. Whoever wants to be on the ice can be on the ice, probably be optional, and you know what situation you're in, and you know what it means. So everything that juices, the energy comes back into your body naturally as soon as you start to get to the building and you see the fans and ramped up, and there's only 4 teams left out of 32. You get all the coverage, all the media attention. It's one of the great feelings. This is why you play the game. So I would suspect that as far as the effort level on both sides, that will not be lacking in game 1.
Right. Now, the other thing with the break, with the length of time, specifically, how do you think that affects either one of these two goaltenders? I mean, they're both very veteran goaltenders. Anderson is actually a year younger than Bob, so even Bob's a little bit older. But how does it affect, and how do these guys keep themselves, mentally focused? What are the goalies doing differently? Like what you said with the ramping up to the practice, are they kind of following the same steps? Or you think the goalies are just kind of like off doing their own thing?
They're getting ready just with their own way. They'll see the shots, and they've got a specialized routine, both of them probably, that work with a goaltending coach, and they want their certain drills that they'll do that they like, and whether it just be they'll do some eye drills, tests, whatever, and they'll get the shots where they want the shots from, and go through a regular practice. Just see some pucks, feel some pucks, and for players that have been around like Bobrovsky, it was good that Alex Lyon came in, and it was lucky, sort of fortunate for us that Lyon played that well, got us into the playoffs. That allowed Bobrovsky to have 3 weeks rest.
Yeah. Yep.
And you saw how he came back fresh after that rest. He was good and ready to go. So it's not going to be a hindrance either way, especially for an older goaltender that know what they're doing and in these series. So Freddie Anderson and both Sergei Bobrovsky, if you talk to them, for older goaltenders, just having a chance to come up for air, it's been so intense just to take that big, deeper breath and get ready and go. And that's going to be a huge part of this series. It's goaltending. You're going to see Carolina. They shoot the puck from everywhere. It doesn't matter. Right. They're analytic darlings as far as that goes. They just pepper the goaltender with shots. That's one area that the Panthers got to make sure that the Panthers have had, if you actually look at the numbers, they've been okay off the rush, but they've had trouble protecting the slot. A lot of the chances they're 15th or 16th and out of the 16 teams remaining, and slot shots allowed, scoring chances. So they got to be able to clean that up and from that kind of area. And this is a pressure orientated team in Carolina that they're facing. So goaltending is going to be huge, and just mistake. You got to move the puck quickly in this series. You can't hold on to it, because if you do, the pressure from the other team is going to be coming. And we saw the Panthers cause problems for the opposition. Carolina does the same thing. So whatever you're doing, if you get that puck on your stick, whatever your first decision is, make it quick.
Just make, yep. And the last thing for me before I give it back to Stu, because we're all talking from the positive Panther side and everything like that, but is there any matchups that concern you in terms of the Canes versus the Panthers that you get to game 5, 6, and you kind of might think, I kind of might have thought that was going to happen?
I'm really interested in what Rod Brindamore does with the Jordan Staal line. He's matched that line up against the other team's top lines. And not only have they shut down the other team's top lines, but they've been able to score some goals as well and be productive. A big part why Carolina is here. But if you look on the flip side, so if you say Tkachuk, Bennett, and Cousins is the line that you fear the most, but of all the centermen that I've watched over the years that matches up against Barkov the best, and at times can cause Barkov problems because of his size, is Jordan Staal.
Interesting.
So I'm really interested, and Slavin and Pesci. So I'm really interested, even though the Tkachuk line is the best line, does he match up Staal against Barkov, or does he match up Staal against the Tkachuk line to switch around? You're going to see it here on home ice, and we'll get to know it better. But I have a sneaky suspicion that Staal will go up against Barkov, just because in the past it's a big body that on the Carolina side that Staal does match up well against Barkov, and Barkov will have to fight through that. But we'll see what happens. That is the one matchup I'm going to pay close attention to, what Brindamore does with that Staal line and who he matches that Staal line up against.
Gotcha. All right, Stu, go ahead, brother.
Now, good segue as far as lines go. We talk about depth. I think our top 9 is solid. The question mark in my mind is what's the fourth line going to be like, and I don't know if Lundberg's in or not, but what do you think about? Well, let's just say if we can get contributions from that fourth line, it's going to be awesome. So I want to know, out of, let's just say, the players that we wouldn't expect, like a Nick Cousins coming through and scoring the winning goal. Who do you think, or who are you looking at as a possible surprise star in this series? And then I'll
to me, well, first off, to that question about the fourth line, I would assume that Lomberg's going to be in because of the chemistry with Staal that he's had, and the energy and feistiness that he can bring, along with White. Dolby's played well to fill in, but Lomberg, with his skating ability and his energy, is going to be critical in this series. And the way that Carolina balances out their ice time, you're going to have to be able to get that fourth line out there at least 8 to 10 minutes a night. Because if you don't get them out there 8 to 10 minutes, and if you play Tkachuk and Barkov up to around that 22, 23 minute mark, then their value is going to diminish in this series. So you have to have the ability to play that fourth line. As far as kind of surprise players that I'll watch in this series, Anton Lundell has been playing really good hockey, and that to me is the difference making line we've talked about a lot. But ever since they went back to Lundell, Reinhart, Luos, Serenen, they're 7-1 since that line has been reassembled. Wow. And Lundell's played really good hockey. Can be a factor on the penalty kill. He's got his regular season was kind of up and down, but I've noticed, especially the last 4 or 5 games, that he's got a little extra pep in his step and a little extra juice. So I would pay attention to Lundell, and specifically that whole line as a group. If they get the production from those guys, this Panther team is going to be incredibly hard to beat.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, I'll tell you, and I'll ask you, Eric, the same question. Obviously, we'd all love to see Barkov step up his game and score some goals, but the guy that I think might finally be breaking out, Anthony Duclair.
Yeah, Duke's starting to skate well.
I mean, we've seen him, gradually stepping it up each game. Obviously, that pass to Verhaeghe was great. He's actually had a couple of really good passes, but I'm looking for him to score in this series. I think if he, if he contributes a few goals, that would make a big difference. Eric?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Duke, I mean, we know that's been a huge key, and the fact that he's getting healthy again is really, really obvious. The thing, because I got a lot of Canes fans, so Billy, I'm interested in your opinion.
Who's your player, Eric?
Oh, who's my player? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Who's your surprise breakout star that we know the Kachuks and the whatever, Montours?
Josh Mahura is going to score a big goal.
I like that.
Yeah,
he's
due. Due. He has been, I wouldn't say the unsung hero, but here's this guy that everybody says who, and it's like, aha, because if he's playing defense and you don't know his name, that's fine. That's just fine, because that means nobody's complaining about him getting burnt. Which, you can answer Stu's question, but on top of that, my question was going to be about the defense in terms of, because I got a lot of Canes fans saying that, the Panthers still have the reputation of our defense can't handle the big time. So I'm curious how you feel our defense is going to hold up to the pressure they're going to put on us.
Can't handle what?
Basically, the ongoing theme that I get from fans of other teams is that the Panthers defense is still subpar, not quite adequate enough to handle the big time.
Yeah, that's Ekblad, Forsling, Montour, Gudis hitting everything. It's maybe the most underrated part of this team. It's they finished second in the end. Both these teams. So you got in this series, Carolina finished first in goals by defensemen. Panthers finished second in goals by defensemen. So that they're going to get some offense from the back end. It's going to be critical in this series. Would I say Carolina and their defensemen can defend a little better? Yes, I would agree with that. I wouldn't say the margin is huge that they're better defensively, but the Carolina D, if you look at them, I would give them a slight edge as far as their whole group. Right. But this Panther team's underrated, and you have to go back and look. Boston was we beat a historically great team. We beat the Boston Bruins. Right. And we beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is no discredit to what Carolina's done. They played well. But to go up and beat the wild card team, the New York Islanders, who have struggled scoring and issues, that was for the Islanders to win that series. A lot of things had to go right, and they still pushed Carolina a little bit. And then you get the New Jersey Devils, who are young, inexperienced, trying to find their way in the playoffs. You finished that off, but the road for us, the teams that we've knocked off, are probably two favorites to go to the Stanley Cup, and we're the ones left standing. So, if you want to talk about defense and being able to do it, we've shown it against the best team in the NHL, and we totally shut down the Leafs in their speed game and transition. So our ability to defend with our goaltending is, I wouldn't question it at all. I would say having the ability to beat Boston and Toronto, you can beat anyone. It's if you discredit the Panthers now and short sell them now, then bet against them at your own peril. Just try. Everyone's been doing it so far. So it's going to be a tough series, but to go out there and say that Carolina and you got all these bragging rights that you're going to come in here and thump this team, I wouldn't put that expectation on this series. It's going to be long.
Yeah. I still think the key to this series is our aggressive forecheck and physical play. and special teams as well and goaltending. But the forecheck, I mean, we forced both teams, Bruins and Toronto, into mistakes. More in the Bruins series, I think. I mean, nobody wants to get slammed by Gudis or Kachuk or Bennett and whatnot. I think Sam Bennett's going to play a really big role. So I mean, listen, every team's beatable, no matter how good they are. It's just execution.
Yeah, it's execution. It's kind of this series because it's so close and how these teams play. A lot of it's going to come down to a bounce. I
Right.
suspect 80 or 90% of the series is either going to be played tied or within a 1 goal differential.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the one point to really that sticks out is both these teams are perfect when scoring first. That's
Oh,
that's even going to be more important in this series because both these teams, when they score first, they can play to their identity.
yeah.
The tight checking, you can kind of dictate the pace of play and with everything that you want to do. And if you can stretch it to a 2 goal lead, that's when you'll force teams out of the tight checking teams out of their comfort zone where they'll have
Right.
to make extra passes, extra. So really pay attention to the teams that either Carolina or the Panthers, if they have the lead in this series, that in games they dictate the pace of play and the way that the fashion that it's going to be played. So to me, that is going to be absolutely rule number one is to try and get off to that good start and have leads at points in this game and go after it and see where it takes you from there.
So I've got one question I want to ask you about strategy, your opinion here. So we all know, like you said, Canes will shoot from anywhere, but especially they like to take those long shots from the blue line and get those deflections. So if you're the Panthers, if you're giving us two options, you can either attack the puck carrier and try to get them to have to shoot the puck before they want to or pass it off before they want to, or you can let them take those shots and try to lay down and block the shots. What do you think would be the best? How do you think would be the best way for us to play that?
Uh, Not lay down block. These teams are just get your sticks and lanes go, and that's what Carolina does well. That's what the Panthers do well. If block shots, but just be active with your sticks and try and break it up, try and turn it, try and go the other way. But defensively, that if you break up plays with your sticks and it can disrupt plays that way and stay on your anytime you to me when you lose. If you want to block shots, that's fine, but don't lose your feet or get off your feet because that just kind of can. That's all or nothing type of plays.
Gotcha.
So either if you're going to block a shot, you can get in front. There's ways to block shots, but stay on your feet, use your stick, and be active. And if you do block a shot or get a stick in lane, then you have the availability to go the other way, start the transition game, and work from there. Carolina does that well, and the Panthers are one of the better teams at that as well. So we'll see what happens. But sticks and lanes to me are going to be imperative to defensive hockey in this series.
Gotcha.
Like you
Stu?
said, it's a game of bounces, game of inches. The guy I worry about more than any other player on that team is Brett Burns. It's just uncanny how he finds a way to get those shots through.
Yeah, he gets shots through from it. He's been doing it for a long time. He's had numbers of years where he's had over 300 shots on
Yeah.
as a defenseman, and he played forward for a long time in Minnesota. So he's a defenseman with a forward mentality, and even at the age of 38, he's still a pretty special player. It's him and Montour. You can go up and down, but Brent Burns is a catalyst. They get a lot from their offense. Not going to lie, a lot of their win with Svechnikov out. Looks like I'm not sure if Teravainen is playing tonight or not, but
Well, they said they do expect him back.
yeah. So Teravainen with Svechnikov's a big blow for them. So they still rely on a lot of production from their defensemen. So we'll see how the point coverage is for the Panthers. But you got to make sure against both these D that if you're a winger, just have your head on a swivel because everyone's pinching down from everywhere.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, and if Stu has anything last, because you brought up Jordan Stahl, and he's been a guy that's played well against Barkov in the past. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that Barkov has already slayed one of those guys this year with John Tavares, because up until this year, every time we played, John Tavares would steal his lunch money and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen this year.
No.
So,
Yeah. Well, that's where the interesting points come in the matchup. So, Carolina having with the last change on home ice, they can put that stall line against whoever he wants. If you're the Panthers on the other side of it, if you have home ice and last change, you probably want that Barkov line matched up against Aho as much as possible. To get there. That to me, that's Carolina. Aho is the one player that drives a lot of offense, and that line tends to be the line that you would want your top defensive centerman out against. So you could see two totally different matchups. You might see Stahl matched up against Barkov in Carolina, where you get back home and try and get Barkov out against Aho as much as possible. We'll kind of see how it plays out, but both coaches, Rod Brindamore, Paul Maurice, they're very familiar with each other. Paul coached Rod for a long time, and it'll be the in-series adjustments, how they do that. Both these coaches so far have been able to push the right buttons at all the times. We'll see what the coaching matchups shake out and how they do in this series. But there will be adjustments from the series and from game to game, from period to period, from the coaching staff, and shuffling lines and different combinations to see how it all works. So that's part of being behind the bench. Paul Maurice has been at it a long time. Rod Brindamore, a lot of credit. It's going to be a chess match between these two coaches.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Aho, in my opinion, they're the biggest offensive threat, and he's killed us. The other guy that I also think we got to watch is Martinook. He's done some damage to us as well. So
he was on waivers at the start of the year. We could have had him.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
31 teams could have had Jordan Martinook. Can you believe that he was on waivers at the start of the year?
A lot of guys. I mean, heck, we had to waive Lucas Carlson.
Yeah, but Jordan Martinook, Lucas.
Oh.
There. Jordan
Yeah,
Martinook
no,
Jordan Martinook had 10 points in the last playoff series.
Right?
I don't think he's going to be on waivers at the start of next year.
Yeah, no, seriously, doubt it.
All right, so
Billy.
Forget about series. This would be my last thing. Forget about series predictions, Billy. Just let's focus on tonight. What do we need to do to take game one? Because I think if we take game one, that's a really good start. We know we got at least a split. That's why both Eric and I like emphasizing winning this game. What do we need to do besides stay out of the penalty box?
Yeah, get off to a good start. You got to get off. Try and take that crowd. That's one of the toughest buildings to play in.
Yeah.
Extremely loud in Carolina. But they had the good home record over the last couple of years in the playoffs. If any chance for that Carolina crowd to get a little extra juice off the gate is going to kind of blow the roof off that place. You want to try and tamper that down.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Get through the first 10 minutes. Even if you're scoreless, that's fine. The mantra in the locker room will be, let's get out of this first period either tied or ahead. Do that, then we settle in, and we'll take it from there. After everything gets so ramped up, and all the emotions come back. So, tonight, game one, that first period, if you can get the first goal, take the crowd out of it. That sort of way, your odds of winning are going to go up.
Yeah, I think it's critical that Bob gets through the first 5 minutes or so, makes some saves, and gets in the groove.
Yeah, both the goaltenders, they'll settle in nicely. Just keep shots to the outside, and it's going to be tight checking.
Well,
one mistake here, one mistake there. It's a miss.
That's it. I mean, it's like, the Leafs hit so many posts. So, Billy, we really appreciate you taking time out with us today. Hopefully, in about 2 weeks, about 15, 16 days, we can do this at least one more time. But we got a long, hard road ahead of us to get that far. But Fingers crossed. So, and by the way, happy birthday, Billy. Billy's
Thank
birthday
you.
was yesterday. So, yeah.
Let's
Big,
go
big,
get them. Thank you, guys. Yeah, you're number 52. We'll see what happens tonight. Looking forward to it.
yeah.
It's mighty special, and all the Panther fans out there, just enjoy it, soak it in, and see if we can get back to a Stanley Cup final.
There we go.
Time.
That's it.
Said by Mr. Panther himself.
Yep. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Billy.
All right,
Thanks.
guys. Enjoy the game.
Have a
You
good
too.
rest of your day.
All right.